Good morning, everyone. Hello and welcome to our first virtual corporate relations open house of 2021. We're excited to have you here as we discuss opportunities with Worcester Polytechnic Institute, otherwise known as WPI. We know that balancing added responsibilities of work and family is a challenge in the season of COVID, and the WPI team is really appreciative of you taking the time to join us today. My name is Dave Ortendahl. I'm Executive Director of Corporate Relations here at WPI, and it's a pleasure to have over 20 of you from across industries and across the US in today's session. For a few housekeeping notes, we will be recording today's webinar, including the questions that come up at the end. So feel free to type questions into the chat, and the panelists will field them within the presentation or preserve some time to share more and answer those questions in the Q&A session at the end. This is in a webinar format, so all video and audio will be muted by our participants with the exception of the panelists as they're sharing in their segments. Please also note that there might be a brief pause between segments as we hand off controls, so thank you for your patience on that front. Presenters will introduce themselves as they begin their various segments, and we appreciate your patience with us on that front. Although we have about half of you who are familiar with WPI as alumni or as current partners, I will spend a couple of minutes here in another minute or so with a brief WPI overview before diving more deeply into some specific opportunities. At this point in time, we're just going to make sure that we give a few more seconds to those who are coming into the meeting to get started, and we'll kick off very shortly. Thank you. Here we go. So thanks everyone for joining us. Again, Dave Ortendahl, Executive Director of Corporate Relations here at WPI. I've been here at WPI for about 12 years, also on the network of Academic Corporate Relations Officers Board of Directors for the past couple years as chair of the benchmarking committee. As many of us have experienced some outdoors activities over the past 9 months or so, you can see here I'm out on a hike with my family. I've got 3 boys that I enjoy spending time with, and I really appreciate the ability of WPI through some of our STEM outreach programs and getting our kids involved in some of those programs too. So after 12 years in the Career Development Center, which some of you may know me from, I am now leading the Office of Corporate Relations, and it's a privilege to be able to do that through the Division of University Advancement over the past few months or so. Because of this, we have this brand new initiative to present these corporate relations open houses virtually. This is the second in our series of 3, and we are really excited for the attendance of these. It's really a privilege to be able to speak to so many of you that are here today, as well as those that have come previously and are registered for the next one on the 21st. So if you have any colleagues who are interested in that session on the 21st or partners from other businesses, we're happy to send some more information as part of this. For those who may not be as familiar with WPI, we were founded in 1865, and really this is a balance of theory and practice, which is in our motto in German, Lehre und Kunst. And that theory and practice is in the fabric of the curriculum at WPI. Not only do students have an opportunity to learn in the classroom, but part of our curriculum is project-based learning and applied learning as part of that classroom experience or that practice. So it's very important that our students have an opportunity to have hands-on research opportunities, to have project opportunities or experiential education opportunities. And some of the team here today will be able to speak to those opportunities as well. We're a mid-sized STEM institution for higher education. As you can see, we have over 4,800 undergraduate students. And some of the figures that we're really proud of is our growing diversity figures. When I started 12 years ago, we were at about 75% male, 25% female as an undergraduate student population coming in. Now you can see that we're over 43% undergraduate students are women coming into WPI and graduating. And that's really exciting, both for the talent pipeline that many of you are evaluating, and also for the life and activity that we have on campus to bring differences of thought to the table. So that's really exciting. Some other areas where we've grown tremendously over the past decade include our graduate student population. This before, 12 years ago may have been in the 700 to 800 realm. As you can see now, we have over 2,000 graduate students with expanded research capabilities and PhDs that are graduating. So this is all really exciting growth over the past decade or so. And it's because of the team at WPI that we're able to succeed and continue to grow the excellence of WPI. For those who may not be familiar with how we're structured as a university, we do have 4 schools, 3 of which you'll see here. Our School of Engineering, which is overseen by Dean John McNeil. Our School of Arts and Sciences, which is overseen by Dean King, Gene King, as well as our school, Foisey School of Business, which is overseen right now by interim dean, and we have a brand new dean that will be joining us here in the coming year, and we're excited for her to be joining us as well. Our 4th school is our School of Global Studies, and this is really an element where the WPI community is planning to grow more over the coming years in terms of our global presence as part of being the global polytechnic. And so as you are thinking about partnerships, you can be thinking about partnerships within or across those 3 schools. Being a mid-sized university, not only do we have some great faculty in each of those schools with expertise, but we're also very collaborative across those boundaries. And so it's part of our fabric, again, is being interdisciplinary and making sure that we are able to solve problems in an interdisciplinary way, including partnerships with our corporate partners. Part of the history and the legacy of WPI is this partnership with industry. Ichabod Washburn is one of our WPI founders, and at that point, proprietor of one of the largest wire mills in the US, specifically as it related to barbed wire, which was pretty innovative at that point in time. And so the industrial age in the Worcester community was really where WPI was birthed, and so important to have those industry collaborations. One of our first buildings in terms of classroom experience was Boynton Hall. One of our other, the second building that was built was named after Ichabod Washburn as Washburn Shops, where those students got that practice and were able to move forward and put what they were learning to work. This year, we're celebrating 50 years of the WPI project plan, which was instituted by Bill Grogan, a previous dean of undergraduate studies and designer of the WPI plan. And you can see here that in 1970, that project center opened in Washburn Shops with funding from IBM and the Kresge Foundation. And so we continue that legacy here through our partnerships with corporations, both in project-based learning, in educating the workforce, as well as expanding the research and technology commercialization of innovation moving forward. I'm going to share a little bit about WPI students before turning it over to one of my colleagues in the WPI Career Development Center, as they will have more to say about our students there. And I just wanted to offer one resource that's available to corporate partners through Universum, which is an employer branding company. We survey our students every year in December, and the amount of data that comes back about their interactions with corporate partners and the reputation on the campus is really valuable for our team. And as you'll see on this coming slide, you'll see that our students, certainly being STEM students, have a strong preference for STEM industries, many of whom of these industries all of you fall into. And so as our students are evaluating where they want to go, you can see that software, aerospace and defense, technology, hardware and equipment, the life sciences and pharmaceuticals, all are of high interest to WPI students compared to the national data. And so you will find that in partnering with WPI, not only are our students very interested in these areas, but our faculty are very interested as well. And so I hope that you'll keep that in mind as we move into the other segments of the presentation. I will be back to join you towards the end of the presentation to share a little bit more about the Corporate Relations Office. However, this time I'm going to turn it over to Jamie Dillon, Assistant Director of Employer Relations at the Career Development Center.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Jamie Dillon, and for those who I've not met, I would like to introduce myself. I'm the Assistant Director of Employer Relations and Recruiting. I've been at the WPI Career Development Center for just about 3 years now, and I'm going to provide just a brief overview of the recruiting services that are offered. And I'm always happy to set up a time to discuss your recruiting strategy for your specific needs. So here at WPI, there's a wide range of recruiting offerings, and we're happy to meet you where you are. Some companies take advantage of one of these offerings and that meets their needs. And some companies participate with many of these services in our office. So we'll start off just with the job postings. We do use a platform called Handshake, which a lot of universities do use. And we have access for our students and our alumni. So if you're looking for someone with a little bit more experience, Handshake is still the place to be. Then we typically have 2 large career fairs on campus. This obviously has not been a typical year, but we are offering those career fairs in the same vein as we typically do. And we do have a spring career fair series coming up in February. We use the term spring a little bit loosely. So in February, we will be hosting some large career fairs. And then you can also take advantage of info sessions. You can speak about your company, a technology you use, or some soft skills. As you can imagine, there's been a significant increase in virtual events for our students. And that combined with Zoom fatigue, the info sessions can be hit or miss. We do encourage you to partner with a student group, reach out to students directly to market your session, or schedule an info session right after the career fair and market it to those students who do attend and speak with you at your booth. We offer some networking events. This is interacting in a more casual atmosphere with students, alumni, and other professionals. And we've hosted these virtually this year. They're typically requested by a student group or academic department. And some examples are, we've done one for the Society of Women Engineers, specifically a co-op networking night, and then an actuarial networking night. We do offer on-campus interviews. You can come to campus and interview for multiple students, multiple positions in just one day. Or you can use this as just a screening or final interviews. We did have an MQP conducted regarding our office, and on-campus interviews is the #1 indicator of hiring a WPI student. In the fall, we were able to offer on-campus interviews actually on campus, and we're hopeful that we might be able to offer that again in the spring. There is a student resume database in Handshake, and you can always search that for specific skills or majors that you're looking for and reach out to those students directly or alumni. People are always flattered when you reach out to them directly about an open position that you have. In the past, we have arranged company tours, and we're happy to do that if that's something that you're interested in doing. And you can also become a sponsor of our office. Being a sponsor comes with many perks, including visibility on campus and our office and on all of our marketing emails. And then also marketing of your virtual events this year. So as Dave talked about Universum, this is the Universum data that I'd like to share today. So as you can see, it's the top 10 most important attributes for students, and that's what they look for in a job opportunity. It's important because it highlights the difference between our students. So the left-hand column that says your students is WPI students. And then the right-hand column that says all students is all of the students across the country that participated in this survey. So it's interesting to see that WPI students are a little bit different than the all students, and innovation has consistently been the most important attribute for a job that our students have been looking for. I think over the last, I would say, 3 years, innovation has been in that top 3. So that is what our students are looking for. I won't read them off to you, you can see them, but it's important to keep this in mind when you come to a career fair or when you're speaking with a student, that these are the important attributes that most of our students are looking for. So you want to talk about, friendly work environment, professional training and development. So feel free to share this with your colleagues who are coming to a career fair or a networking night, or who are recruiting our students. For spring planning 2021, this is just an overview of what's happening for the spring. So as I said, we're having our spring career fair series. It is open for registration through Handshake, and it's going to happen February 16th, 17th, and 18th from 12 to 3 each day. You can sign up for one session or all of the sessions. It's completely up to you. We are offering on-campus interviews and tabling if permitted, and then those dates are to be determined. We have some volunteer opportunities coming up this spring. So in educational programming for you to assist our students with looking at their resumes or critiquing their interviews. And we are offering a job offer panel. Included in the next, I think it's the next slide, there's going to be a link for those opportunities that you can sign up for those. We also will be hosting a just-in-time career fair on April 13th. So these are for those opportunities that just came up. Maybe they weren't open in February, or something new is happening. So that opportunity is April 13th. That will also be registration, will be through Handshake. And our office does have an employer advisory council, which meets twice a year. And this spring, we're going to be focusing on diversity, and we're having a student panel with that. And if you're interested in the Employer Advisory Council or anything more on that, you can certainly reach out to me. Here is the contact information for the people in our office on the employer team. So the general contact information, Steve Copey, Executive Director of the Career Development Center, Carson Billingsley, my colleague, and then myself. And then there will be links. So when we send the follow-up email after this presentation, these are links to the Spring Career Fair, the link to sign up for volunteer opportunities, and also information about the Spring Recruiting Pass. Thank you very much, and I'm happy to answer any questions at any time. And now I'm going to send this over to Amanda.
Thanks, Jamie. And I am just requesting control, so bear with me for a second. Great. So hi, everyone. I'm Amanda Maurer-Kegley. Unfortunately, my colleague, Dan Weigel, is unable to attend today. So he and I work very closely together. So I will be covering his area of expertise with his team. So Dan is the Associate Director of Corporate Partnerships for Academic and Corporate Engagement. He oversees customized graduate and training programs with corporate partners and supports corporate engagement for select WPI life science centers. And he leads a team that focuses on corporate partnerships. Myself, I'm Amanda Maurer-Kegley. I'm the Associate Director of Enrollment Strategy for Online and Corporate Partnerships. I oversee the enrollment process and strategies for all of our online graduate programs, in addition to our corporate programs as well. So what I'll talk about first is about Dan and his team and how they partner with industry for customized education solutions. So Dan and his team, they work with corporate partners to meet the workforce needs that they have at that time, really assisting them in identifying their development needs within the workforce. So this is a slide that highlights some of the companies that we currently work with on that. Now, the various ways in which we work with industry in order to meet their workforce development needs is we work with them on customized solutions. So we have graduate programs that we work with them on, and these are customized WPI master's curriculums for really maximum workforce impact. So what we do is we sit down with the leadership team, we identify with them what the needs are, and we bring in faculty and a development team. And we work with you to identify those courses that will meet those needs. And then we actually customize the coursework within there, whether with capstone projects that can be company sponsored to really assist in the learning process, along with case studies. And in addition, we also work with our corporate partners through our industry leadership boards and also through these conversations that we're having, where if we hear a common topic within a particular subject matter, we ensure that our graduate courses are meeting those needs so that our coursework that people are learning are not just theory, they're practice and they're able to immediately apply. So there's been some cases in which we tweak our courses to make sure they're hitting a specific topic that over time, things change, especially in technology, life sciences. But in addition, we also work with our corporate clients that if there is a course that needs to be developed, we'll work with them and faculty that specialize in that subject matter, and we'll develop that course and put it as part of that curriculum. But we really sit down and we don't give you a curriculum that's necessarily already created. We'll sit down, look at the requirements of a master's degree or graduate certificate, and we'll pick the coursework that applies to you and then apply tweaks to those courses to really make sure it has an impact on you, your employees, and the business. In addition, we work with our corporate partners on non-credit education programs. So we have technical short courses that, once again, we sit down, we listen to industry, we listen to our corporate partners and about their needs, and we work with them on developing customized technical short courses. The majority of the technical short courses that we've been offering throughout the past 3 years have been customized from the ground up. It's in subject matters in which WPI has expertise in, but they don't necessarily exist right now. So we tailor those to meet the needs of the audience that we'll be delivering to. It could be within a specific area that your company or a group within the company needs of employees, or it also can be around level setting the entire division or the entire company. And one area in which we've done this quite often is around system engineering, what that is, the thinking, and how to utilize that across the company. And we deliver all of this either on-site, online, in a synchronous, asynchronous, or hybrid model, where you could have a hybrid where some of it might be happening synchronously, where everyone attends class at a specific time. And then other times it might be asynchronous, where people log on at their leisure, as long as it's within that given timeline, and they complete the assignments. But we're extremely flexible on delivering, especially given COVID. We have adapted in our knowledge in online. All of our corporate programs have been hybrid, and some we've been lucky enough to have in our lab facility as well, with precautions taken. In addition, we have industry academic centers in which Dan and his team work with corporate partners on. So Practice Point is one of our areas, and this facility, which purpose is really around advancing healthcare through cyber physical systems. And this is done on a partnership level. So this is really a place of research and design where innovative thinking and creativity happens, with a lot of state-of-the-art machines that we have in support of that process. It really gives the corporate partners that belong to this, and any company can become a corporate partner to Practice Point. It provides a safe environment in order to really push the boundaries to fail, think, and really succeed. And we have various suites within here. So we have an MRI imaging suite, a patient clinical care suite, home health suite, motion capture suite, neurotech, suite. And in addition, we have confidential offices and conference spaces as well, and manufacturing and testing for instruments that can happen here, along with 3D printing. So that's a lot about what we're doing. And we worked with industry because we saw this need to develop Practice Point and allow companies to get their products, to test them, and to market faster. In addition, we also worked with industry on the Biomanufacturing Education Training Center. And this is another one of our facilities that Dan and his team works with industry on. This is a 10,000 square foot biotech facility in which WPI partners with biotech companies to develop hands-on workforce training solutions. So these are customized programs in which the facility can be utilized by a company and their employees. And we have a small scale processing lab along with a large scale processing lab where a company can do anything and complete everything in the upstream and downstream process. We have customized training here. In addition, we offer programs that are just open to the general public to learn about biotech. And in addition, it also gives people the opportunity to get into the biotech space as well. So that's a little bit about our corporate partnerships and what we're doing. And all about, when I talk about corporate and corporate graduate programs, for those to happen, it has to be a minimum of 15 students in order to start that corporate cohort of graduate programs. What I'll talk about here is WPI's online degree programs. And the difference between this and what I was just talking about for a corporate graduate program is that anyone can join these graduate level programs, master degree programs, and graduate certificate programs. So you have individuals coming from various companies, all taking part in a graduate course. In addition, we have some full-time students that are part of this, but the majority of our students that are in our graduate program for online, I'll call it open enrollment to differentiate the two, are full-time working professionals that are going to school part-time to really enhance their technical abilities and develop themselves. So as I mentioned, here is a listing of all of our online graduate programs and offerings. This list is constantly changing, and we are always adding more of our programs to online. Now, WPI has been delivering distance education for over 40 years. And this goes way back to when we used to mail cassettes out for our system dynamics program. So we have a lot of expertise, and we have seen a lot of change. And it's a very exciting place to be. So in distance learning, our online students will also receive the same exact certification as their on-campus counterparts, their learning outcomes, the objectives, their degree, everything is exactly the same as our on-campus students. The only difference is the way in which you learn. And online learning is different than on campus. So all of our instructors work with instructional designers to ensure the best possible engagement and experience for our online students. So courses that are offered online are all delivered in an asynchronous format, which means you complete your coursework on your own time while adhering to the professor's syllabus. So our online students never need to come to campus. The lectures are pre-recorded and you follow the guidelines within the course syllabus, which outlines all assignments, which could include lectures, tests, quizzes, discussion board posts, case studies, capstone projects, etc. You will have associated due dates for everything and all of these assignments, and you will have to complete those assignments within that given timeline. Now, the great thing is you're not on your own island. You are moving along with a class. So you move along with a class size of anywhere from 10 to 20 students, and you start the class on the same day and you end the class on the same day. But you do have the flexibility to access your course content anywhere. And we have students that are all around the world. The only thing is you just have to meet those deadlines in your assignments. In addition, WPI, we allow our students to take up to 2 courses prior to officially applying into a graduate program. So you're a non-matriculated student taking graduate courses, receiving graduate credit. And we see that 40% of our new students that start taking graduate courses are non-matriculated students. So they haven't applied into the program yet. In addition, we see that 35% of our new students are part of our corporate partnerships. Lastly, I just want to mention about the flexibility that we have. In addition to accessing online courses at any time, anywhere, you also have the ability to take on-campus courses if you wish for a semester. And the same goes for our on-campus students. If they want to take an online course, they can absolutely do that as well. WPI allows our students the flexibility to take on-campus or online courses as part of their degree programs. So with this, if you want to learn more about corporate partnerships and customize graduate education and training, please feel free to reach out to Dan Weigel. Here is his email address, and you'll be able to click on this link to access and send him an email when Dave sends out the presentation. And in addition, if you'd like to learn more about WPI's online graduate programs in that open enrollment format, please feel free to reach out to me, and this is my email address. So with that, I'd like to hand it off to Dave again.
Excellent. Thank you, Amanda. Really appreciate you jumping in for Dan and sharing multiple elements of the team there. And as we move forward, I wanted to share a little bit of our new Office of Corporate Relations here at WPI. First, to speak a little bit to the philosophy and how we are moving forward with this in this new season, and also to share a little bit more of how we can help you as you navigate partnering with the university and figuring out the best path forward for 2021 and beyond. So first and foremost, the ultimate goal here is to grow these partnership opportunities and to help you find faculty and staff and students related to those goals that you have at your business. It is really our job to connect with you, to understand the types of challenges that you face, and to connect you in a concierge approach across the institution so that you know the best faculty member or the best department to move forward with as you're seeking to solve those challenges. As you can see below, some of these current objectives include facilitating corporate engagement meetings. So perhaps you would like to spend some more time with specific folks across a team and bring some of your decision makers into a conversation to learn more about WPI, much like this webinar, but in an active discussion mode. We're happy to put together those corporate engagement meetings and generate introductions across campus. A great model for this has been connecting with faculty and deans, having a working lunch when we're able to reconvene in person, and we're able to do that, and then building those student connections afterwards and meeting with students, hearing them and what is close to them in their work and what they're looking for, and then closing the day with an information session. That has been a model that works very successfully, and if that's something that you're interested in, happy to have a conversation with you about how we can move those forward. One of the other elements to the Office of Corporate Relations is how we put our master project agreements in place, so that, or NDAs, so that as you want to explore conversations in partnership with the students or the faculty, we make sure that we're respecting those boundaries of confidentiality, and also making sure that we're on the same page, that if students do participate in projects with you, that the faculty and the students have a good understanding of those lines and what they can or cannot publish, for example. We also partner with teams or in departments across campus. For example, I have another slide for pre-collegiate outreach. They have an engineering ambassador program in which they're actively looking for corporate sponsors. And this engineering ambassador program is a pipeline development program, both for WPI, but also for businesses as you look to grow the diversity of talent that is coming into your business. And so these are programs where we have WPI students applying and being selected to be engineering ambassadors. And then they go into high schools and middle schools and elementary schools to get students really excited about STEM and what does that mean? And maybe there is a possibility for a career or an education in that realm moving forward. And so we've had a number of fantastic partners, including Pratt & Whitney, which is now part of Raytheon Technologies. We've had, other Ensign Bickford Industries as another example, who's come to the table as partners with our Engineering Ambassador program. And we're actively looking for Engineering Ambassador sponsorships this month, as students will be recruited into that program in February and March upon their arrival back either virtually or back onto campus as they can. And then I certainly talked a little bit about those corporate days, but I wanted to spend some time speaking to you about our institutional engagement approach. And as you think about partnerships with the university, there are multiple ways in which you can navigate these partnerships and multiple paths in which you could move forward as well. Oftentimes we see a number of businesses starting in the workforce development area, and apologies if the text is a little small here for the presentation, but what you can see is very often there's recruiting, the graduate programs, technical training, those outreach partnerships, or making sure that there's a contingent of alumni that are getting to know each other through the workforce. And that is a really important foundational bucket for growth in university partnerships. And there's still more opportunity to grow with WPI. For example, in the upper left, the research, technology, and innovation bucket, we know that innovation is really interesting and important, as you saw from some of that Universum data that Jamie presented to our students. And it's also really important to the fabric of WPI and the faculty that are teaching here. And so we look for partners as we move forward in sponsored research. We look for partners in federal grants and moving forward. And we look for partners in licensing. In fact, we just had some outreach about some licensing evaluators that we have a need for. So we have multiple opportunities in this research and technology innovation bucket. There's also an opportunity to do more with philanthropy and gifts in kind. And so as you are thinking about growing to greater, deeper relationships and greater visibility, there's an opportunity to be thinking about, are there opportunities where maybe a lab is shifting or an acquisition is coming on board and there might be some extra equipment? There might be a need by some of our young faculty that are coming in and looking to, grow in their tenure track to bring in new equipment so that they can expand on their research and work with students. There could be elements such as naming opportunities or doing more with sponsored chairs. And so we're happy to have those conversations with you as we grow partnerships across the board. We recognize that not every business is going to do every single thing on this list. However, as you're thinking about deepening a partnership with a university, specifically WPI, we hope that you'll think about taking elements of any one of these buckets and growing to that upper right quadrant of greater relationship and greater visibility within the team at WPI. As we talk about projects, you've heard us talk about theory and practice, you've heard us talk about IQPs or MQPs and GQPs. So I'm going to take a moment to just pause and define those things before we dive deeper into this, how you can sponsor one of those moving forward. So at each level of education at WPI, there's an opportunity and a distinct project opportunity for students to dive into. At a first-year undergraduate experience, there's the Great Problem Seminar, or GPS, which is an optional project for students. This is an interdisciplinary project where it's taking on a major engineering challenge across the globe, whether it be fuel the world, feed the world, educate the world, or heal the world. And they will, as first-year students, come in and enter a classroom where it's co-taught by, let's say, a faculty member in business and a faculty member in biotechnologies, and talk a little bit more about the business of healthcare and what is it that they need to know in that area. They'll have an opportunity to take a real problem, evaluate the problem, and present on the problem. And for so many students to have that type of opportunity in the first year and to have that type of practice in the first year is really significant. Not every university does that. As students move through to their sophomore year, they have an opportunity to partake in a project that's close to the humanities and arts core function of WPI. And so perhaps doing more projects in languages or philosophy or religion, or doing more in music or theater. And so they have an opportunity to dive into one of those subject areas a little bit more intentionally. As they move into their junior and senior year, there are mandatory projects that they need prior to their graduation from WPI. And so during the junior year, there's what's called the Interactive Qualifying Project, or IQP. And this is the equivalent of 3 full-time courses where they have the opportunity to travel the globe at over 35 project centers across the world. Now, granted, given during COVID, we've paused that program given the pandemic that we're in right now. However, it is certainly our intention that when it's safe to do so, to start that back up, and our students have the opportunity to learn more about the globe and being a global citizen and the challenges that others in the world face. And so they can learn those challenges. What are the societal challenges in the areas of Panama or Australia or Moscow or in Venice, and have the opportunity to work with nonprofits or municipalities or NGOs to solve those problems in those global areas. Now, at this point, as many companies are thinking of sponsoring a capstone project, which is that major qualifying project, our students could have close to 3 different types of projects that they've already completed. And so as companies are thinking of a major qualifying project for a student in their senior year, which is addressing a very specific problem within their discipline, you now know that our students have a very high capability for background research, for analyzing the problem and either putting together a prototype or coming up with a solution in a robust way. And these major qualifying projects are, again, the equivalent of 3 full-time courses. And so these are really attractive ways for companies to step into that relationship and to build relationships with faculty, which is really important to a long-term sustainable and strategic relationship with the university. That could then grow into broader research collaborations. So I wanted to provide that picture before diving into the timeline here, where you can see, at least for late fall and early 2021, we are actively looking for project pitches for those major qualifying projects, as well as the next level, which is those graduate qualifying projects for some disciplines, including data science. And so we want to have conversations with our faculty about those projects and scope them appropriately and introduce you who might be interested with faculty members who would be the advisors for these. And as we move through the spring, students are able to select onto those projects, and we really want to make sure that those projects are meaningful for the students. And then they will begin them in August of 2021 with an eye to complete them around April of 2022. And I know right now we just turned the calendar into 2021 and it's hard to think about some of those things. However, it is really important that if you want to explore this, all we're looking for a pitch is 1 to 2 paragraphs for a project pitch moving forward. And so we really look forward to touching base with some of you after today's webinar to share a little bit more about that and scheduling a meeting to talk more with our faculty. As you can see here, one of my favorite quotes from project-based learning and the corporate sponsorship that we have. This was from US Product Safety Commission. You know, our students are on 7-week terms here at WPI. And so you can see that reflected in their ability to quickly onboard within a business for an internship or co-op, but also this ability to onboard very quickly and to learn the scope and scale of these projects. As we talk about research and what that looks like at WPI, you can see here that over the past year, we brought in $56 million, which is the largest amount that WPI has seen in research funding. And that is really significant for what we're able to do as a university with our faculty and with our students. And as you can see next to that, we are members of the Manufacturing USA initiatives. And these are really important to the work that we're doing. And certainly for those of you in manufacturing around fabrics or biomaterials or biomanufacturing, we want to make sure that we are engaging with you in those areas to build the next generation of product and to test and to understand the innovation that's out there. Why do we do this? Really, this is such an important question for us to answer and for folks to understand about the work that WPI does. We want to make sure that our students succeed. We want to make sure that our faculty succeed. And we want to make sure that our university is having a major impact on the world and the citizens of the world, whether that be here in the Worcester area, the New England area, or across the globe at any one of our project centers. And so here we have a great team of engineering ambassadors from last year when they were all able to take a picture together. And you can see that these students are the ones that are going out and making a difference into hundreds of middle school and elementary school kids to spark the next generation. And we want to partner in sparking that next generation with you and building the current generation of the workforce with you as well. And so if you're interested, my contact information is here below, and you'll have that when we email at the end. As we were talking about some additional opportunities, I talked earlier about our colleagues in the pre-collegiate outreach programs and inspiring that next generation. And here you can see a few of those opportunities, including Touch Tomorrow, which has been happening at WPI for, I think, about 6 years now, originally funded by NASA and sparking interest in students to now being a very important program for WPI and collaborating with others. And so at this point, I am going to ask the team that if you're answering any questions to please unmute yourselves in your video and to invite anyone who might be interested in depositing a question into the chat to please do so. So I'm going to give control back to my collaborator, Aubrey Valley, who has not yet had a shout out, but I want to thank Aubrey Valley and University Advancement for being a key facilitator of this program in the background for us, and appreciate your time, Aubrey, in putting this together and keeping us on task and making sure everything's working okay. So we will take a minute to await some chats. Any questions that are coming across from the panelists? Let's see here. I have a question that has come in that is asking about sponsorship fees and IP concerns and how do we address that? And so, yes, that is something that through the master project agreement, there are certainly a number of elements that we put together and discuss between WPI and the business. That includes IP, that includes publication, that includes indemnification, and how do we maneuver all that. And we're happy to have those conversations. That's really a one-on-one element. And in terms of sponsorship for projects, great question. We typically look for between $10,000 and $15,000 for projects that are sponsoring undergraduate programs, and we typically look for between $20,000 and $25,000 sponsorship fees for those that are either graduate programs or those that are sponsoring one of our project centers across the globe. Great. We'll give it another 20 seconds or so to see if there's other questions that come across in the chat function. Thanks, Aubrey, for sharing that in the chat as well. Great. Well, without any further questions, we will wrap up today's webinar. We truly appreciate your time and energy with us today. A big thank you to the team who is been joining us here with Amanda and Jamie and Aubrey. A shout out to Dan for, we know he couldn't attend today, but know he was here in preparation with us. And so we ask that if you have any questions, to please email the team. You'll have an email from us by the end of day today. Feel free to reach out individually and to click on some of the links that we'll share with you as part of the presentation.